Hi, I'm Jennifer Ryan of Celtic Knot Crochet, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to make this flower using the Clover Flower Loom. What you need for this project is the Clover Flower Loom. You can find it at the link in the description below. You'll need a tapestry needle, which actually comes with this flower loom. You'll need some yarn in two different colors if you want to have a contrasting center to your flower, and you'll need some scissors. So let's get started. You can see here that the yarn I'm using is actually a size 3 cotton yarn. I found mine at Hobby Lobby, and this here is Symphonia, and it's also size 3, but it's a little bit thinner, so I liked using the thinner yarn for the center. But you could use any yarn. Medium weight would work well too, size 4. This here is size 4, both of these, and it just makes a fuller flower. And you don't need a lot. Here, when you get the flower loom from Clover, it'll look like this, and you'll remove the outer packaging, and there are directions inside here, but I'm going to set those aside for now. There are several different types of flowers you can make with this loom. You just pop off this top cover, and you'll see a bunch of different pieces, and this will allow you to make different size flowers and different shaped flowers. You can also use ribbon to make these, but for today I'm going to set all of these pieces aside and only use the larger pink circle, and I just rotate it around in the square base until it fits in there nicely, like so. And I'll set these other pieces aside for other projects. And then what I'm going to do, I'll zoom in a little so you can see better, is I'm going to get my yarn ready. So I'm going to start with the cut end of yarn, and I'm going to place it right through this hole right here on the side. And then it's going to go in that little notch right there, but to keep it secure, I'm going to tie just a small simple knot and pull it up so it's nice and taut. And that helps my flower stay in place as I weave it. Now I'm going to take the yarn and go past this first spike here, right next to that hole, and go across the circle to the opposite spike, and then wrap the yarn around that first spike and go back to the one that I started at. Now I'm going to wrap around that first spike and move to the one on the right. Wrap around and then move to one to the left at the bottom. And I'll continue in this pattern until the whole loom is filled with the blue yarn. So you can see I'm using my thumb of my other hand to help hold it in place so it doesn't pop off the spikes. And here you see I'm back to where I began. See, there's my knot. And you could stop there if you like, but I like the flower a little fuller. So I'm going to do that whole thing again. I'm going to go around that very first spike where I started, where the knot is, and repeat that whole thing again. Moving to the right one and to the left one on the bottom. And I should end at the opposite side of where I started. This is my starting knot, and I want to have the yarn go across to the opposite end. I'm going to cut it about 4 inches out. And do the same thing as before. Thread the yarn through the hole there in the side of the base, and then pull it through that slot, and then I could even add a knot. Push it down so it's secure right there, and that helps hold all the yarn in place for my flower. Now we're going to add the center. I'm going to take this yellow yarn and about 36 inches, a nice long length, so I have plenty to work with. And I'm going to use the large tapestry needle that comes with the loom. And now I'm going to work up through the center of the flower. So you could see all the yarn converging here at the very center, and I'm going to come up just outside of that. Pull the long length through. Sometimes I check on the back to make sure and hold it with my hand. So there's a little excess there. And then I'm going to go back down. You can see how the tines create all the petals. So I'm going to go back down in one of the nearby petals. And that's my first stitch. And now all the other stitches are going to look a little different than that one. Now I'm going to come back up, but again, I'm going to come up one petal over. See where I'm coming up. Pull it nice and tight, and then I'm going to go back down into the same petal that the last stitch was in. Make sure it doesn't get caught. And I push it in with my nail, like so. And then I'll do that again. I'm going to come up to the neighboring, through the neighboring petal, and then back down to where that other one ended, the previous stitch. This really helps to lock in the petal placement. When you take it off the loom, you want to keep all those nice petals in their spot. And I'm going to continue that all the way around. I've gone almost all the way around, and my last one I want to make sure that I come through the same space that that first stitch came through, so all my stitching connects, and then I'm going to go back down through the last or previous stitch, and you can see here how that creates a nice circle around the center. And now I'm going to fill it in. I'm going to come up just outside of the stitching and then work across by going just outside of the stitching on the other side. Like so. And then I'll just continue that so the whole center is filled in. So it might take 20 to 30 passes. So you can see here there's still a gap in the middle. So I'll do another one. Just going through the spaces of the petals. And I can always go again. In some ways it's better to go across, even if there are some gaps, and then you can come back and work over the first set of stitches on your way back to the center. And when I get to the side, I'll do the same thing. Work up through the middle here, outside that stitching, and then come down. And maybe do one more, and they'll get shorter on the side. One here, and one right down here. See how that looks? And now I'll work my way back to the center to fill those in. Here I finished filling in the center, and now I just need to remove it from the loom. So what I do first is I turn it over and I find my two ends for the center, and I tie those in a knot, a simple overhand knot, two of them so it doesn't come out. Like so. Then I remove the knots from the side slots and carefully take the flower off the loom. Once you get about 5 or 8 of them off, the whole thing comes off pretty easily. Pop it off, and this is the front and the back side. I find those two ends that I started with, and one of them might be a little hard to move to the back, so I sometimes thread it through the petals so it doesn't disrupt how my petals look, and I can get those both to the back. And then I do the same thing with those, tie them in a knot like so, nice tight knot, and then I take my scissors and I carefully trim off those ends, because we definitely don't want to see the yellow ones on the front of the flower. And there you have it. A fun little flower to applique on a whole bunch of projects. I like to thread my yarn needle through these stitches when I am attaching this. So these give a great way to attach the flower to a crochet project. As in this spring flower tote, that you can find the pattern to this in my Etsy shop in the description below. And I sewed these on, working the yarn and the needle through the center stitching, and it's nice and secure. It's not going to come off. So there you have it. That's how you make one of the flower versions on the Clover Flower Loom. Hope you enjoyed making these flowers. Make sure to give me a thumbs up and don't forget to click to subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching!